Hey everyone, it's JT. Howdy. Glad to have you all here. I'm just getting started a couple minutes early just so we can make sure that the live stream works today. Good to have you all here. So if you're just logging on, this is office hours where you can ask your questions, career questions, job search questions, and get them answered in real time. Welcome. We do this every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for 30 minutes. I'll be on from 1 to 1:30 today. And we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. So let's see here. I've got a couple of people logging on. Hey, Sylvia, how are you? Who else do we have here today? Let's see. Looks like we've got someone, a Vancouver recruiter. Howdy, Vancouver recruiter. Good to have you here. Good to see you all logging in. Just to remind you all, this is how it works. If you have a question, you put the word question first in all caps before you write out your question. And then you write your question, not in all caps. And I do my best to answer them, but I'll be honest with you, lots of people attend this. It's a free event, so lots of people attend, and the chat goes really fast, so I'm not always able to answer every question, nor every single one in order. So just a heads up. If you want your questions always answered by a professional like myself or another career support specialist, then you should be joining us at Work It Daily. We are the only online career coaching subscription out there. Think gym membership, think Netflix, but for your career. And unlike programs like LinkedIn, we actually offer support from trusted, proven experts trained by myself. So if you've never checked out our program, you definitely should take the whopping couple of minutes to see what it's all about. Literally for less than $1 a day, you could be working with career coaches and really moving your career forward. So, we always tell people we're like career therapists. And everybody needs a little career therapy in their life. Coaching isn't a sign of weakness, folks. It's a path to greatness. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you think you need help in your career, why not try us out? No setup fees. You can cancel at any time. And we are going to give you a special discount code for attending today that's only good for today when you sign up with our special office hours. And that'll save you $10 a month off of our subscription. Again, you can cancel at any time. So if you've ever thought that maybe you need a little career therapy, a little help, today is the day. Give yourself the gift of some help, okay? All right, but enough on that. I'm going to get down to business here and answer some questions for people as they come up. So the first question that I see here today is, we hear a lot from recruiters saying you are not a cultural fit. What are your thoughts on that? I have a lot of thoughts on that. So here's what you need to know, folks, that anybody, a hiring manager, recruiter, whoever that's hiring in an organization is evaluating you on 3 criteria. I talk about this all the time inside the Work It Daily platform. It's based on your personality, so how you interact with people, how you like to communicate. It's based on your aptitude, meaning do you feel and sound like you could adapt to their environment and do it their way, not your old way or your boss's old way, but their way. And do you have the actual experience? And any of us that have been in recruiting or hiring for a long period of time, like myself, know that you can't just hire for experience. I have people say to me all the time, but JT, I had just the experience they were looking for. Yeah, and probably a bunch of other people did. And sometimes you find out that the person that didn't have as much experience as you got hired. And you know why? Because they were a better fit in terms of personality and aptitude. That is the truth. Employers are looking at all 3 things, and I find in that order. Because it doesn't matter how experienced you are. If you don't have the right personality to perform on the team and to get along with the boss, then you're not going to last there. And that's what they mean about cultural fit. Are you coming across as somebody that would gel with their tribe, right? And the way they evaluate that is based on your personality, your aptitude, and then your experience. Now, for those of you that have never taken our interaction style assessment test, it's a free quiz that you can take over on our website. It's workitdaily.com/ISAT, ISAT. And what it does is tell you which of the 4 styles you are. There's 4 dominant communication styles: commander, contemplator, energizer, or empathizer. And it's very important for you to understand which one you are, but also for you to understand the other styles, because sometimes our strengths are our weaknesses. So each of those styles has strengths when it comes to communication, but it has weaknesses. And historically, when somebody is not a cultural fit, it's because their interaction style that they were presenting in the interview process wasn't gelling with what they envisioned for the role. So this is the harsh reality, folks. It's not enough to say, I have the degrees and I have the experience. You have to have the personality and the aptitude for the job as well. And you need to know and understand and accept that. And that's not always easy for people to understand, but that's the rules of the game. So the one thing I'll tell you is that if they didn't feel you were a cultural fit, then they're doing you a favor, because anybody who's ever been put into an environment where they're not a cultural fit knows it's miserable. You're very unhappy. You feel very insecure. It can feel just every day feel like an uphill challenge. It's no fun. And honestly, you either quit or you get fired. Either way, you're relieved when it's over. So it's if somebody tells you you're not a cultural fit, don't get hung up on it. It just means that they're saving you from being put in a position where you wouldn't be comfortable. All right. All right. Great question. Let's see. So Sylvia says, I started a job a few months ago, but it didn't work out. Reason being my supervisor and coworker kept on blaming me for making so many mistakes at work, but that was because she barely gave me any training. How should I handle this the next time it happens? Well, I think you've learned a valuable lesson here. And those members of Work It Daily, and a shout out to all of you that are on here today. Love having you here. You know that we believe in something called the Experience, Learn, and Grow model. We teach an entire course around this inside the platform for interview prep. And I think this is really important for you, Sylvia, as you're going out there looking for work, is that you have to talk about what you experienced very objectively, what you learned, and then how you grew from the experience. And that's important to any future hiring manager because they want to understand that you're going to apply what you've learned and be a better employee for them. How are they benefiting from the experiences you've had in life, both positive and negative? That's what they're trying to uncover. So this experience, I wouldn't call it negative. I would call it powerful. I like to use the term powerful because I think anytime we have a powerful experience in our life, there's a lot to learn. And in this case, you're going to say, you know, I was very excited about the opportunity. I take ownership of the fact that I didn't ask about training. I didn't inquire into the extent of the training that I would be provided to do the job. And unfortunately, once I got on the job, I found out there wasn't a lot of training and that I was supposed to be able to do this on my own. And unfortunately, I wasn't in a position or I wasn't prepared to do that. And mistakes were made and it didn't work out and they let me go. But honestly, that I wasn't going to get any training. So I wasn't going to be able to fix these problems. So what I learned from this experience is that one, I need to inquire about the training that'll be given. And two, I need to be proactive about my training when I get into a position to make sure that I'm doing things correctly so that I can minimize and make sure there are no mistakes. And I'm glad I learned that lesson. I've now learned to ask that in an interview, and I've learned to make sure that the right things are present and that if they aren't, that I will get them for myself so that I can be successful. See how that works? You know, one of the themes that I've been talking a lot about lately with folks is the idea of accountability setting you free. So much of the time when we don't want to be accountable for something, a situation that went bad, a lot of times we want to say, I'm not going to take ownership of that. It wasn't my fault. It was their fault. And this happened and that happened and this happened. We don't want to take accountability because we feel like we're saying we made a mistake and we messed up. And none of us likes to make mistakes. None of us like to mess up. None of us likes to feel that way. But if you're going to look at everything like that as a game of win or loss or good or bad, you're going to struggle, not just in your career, but in life, right? Your career is a game and we're all playing the game. And you make some calculated moves in the game, and sometimes an unexpected twists and turns hit, and sometimes you make calculated moves that don't work out. Take ownership of them and use it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Be excited by the fact that you've had powerful experiences that are making you a better player of the game. I mean, you don't upskill, you don't get better at any game you play unless you're challenged. Unless you go to a higher level and you have setbacks and you have powerful experiences that I keep using them that make you a stronger player in the game. And so having that mentality and really adopting it is important here, especially as you go and explain what happened. So use that experience objectively. This is what happened. I own it. This is what I take accountability for. This is what I learned. And this is how I'm going to make sure that it never happens again. Okay. That's what you want to talk about in interviews. And I know you can do that, Sylvia. And I know everyone out there can do that as well. But you really need to look at accountability as an opportunity to set you free from pain and fear of failure and being upset. Set yourself free, own it, and move on. Okay? Learn from it. That's the more important thing. Okay. So it looks like we've got Gal here. Hey, Gal. Gal says, how would you suggest to an applicant to get a job as a recruiter? That is, what is the main idea hiring managers want to hear? Well, a recruiter is a salesperson. Make no mistake. The best recruiters are really, really good salespeople. So if you want a job as a recruiter, you have to talk about how you are able to identify great candidates, right? And sell them on the opportunity. Just like in sales, we identify good customers and we sell them on our products and services. It's no different in recruiting. Really good recruiters are great at connecting with people. They're good conversationalists. They're generally enthusiastic and optimistic. They're really good at explaining things to people and getting people motivated and excited. So if you have those qualities, and if you really can articulate that, maybe you have a background in sales and you were successful, then I think you can translate that and say, and that's why I'm going to be really good at a recruiting job. Recruiting is a great profession, by the way. It's a great profession. I've had people say, I don't like sales, but then they get into recruiting and they say, I love recruiting because I'm helping people. Well, you're still doing a sales job, but you're doing the kind of sales job you want to do, which is helping a company and helping a person. It's a win-win, right? They get a great new job and the company gets the person they need to succeed. So great profession to get into, but it is a sales job. Make no mistake. All right. Let's see. Berlin Baker says, I was let go from my previous position for being late to work twice. How do I talk about this experience in my next interview for a new opportunity? Well, I mean, that really reminds me of what I was just saying earlier about experience learning. You know, I took this job with this company. I didn't realize when I took it, my bad, I own it, that punctuality was a big deal with them. I was late twice and I was fired for it. What I've learned from this experience is that, one, if a company says that being exactly on time is super important to them, then I have to make sure that I'm there and that I'm present on time. And if I don't think that that's something I can realistically do, then I owe it to myself to know that that's not the right organization for me. You know, but that being said, I don't ever want to be fired again. It was an awful experience. It really taught me how important it is. And so I'm going to make sure that I always get to work on time, because I want to be able to put this behind me. I don't want to be labeled as somebody that's late for work and that being seen as a problem. So I recognize now how much I want to fix that. And whoever hires me next is going to get somebody who's very punctual, right? That's what you have to do. Experience, learn, and grow. All right. Darian says, I just finished a job I got through a temporary agency. I was fired after a week because I didn't catch on as quickly and as fast as I used to. How do I put that on my resume? That's a great question. You know, Darian, I generally wouldn't put something that was a week long in the work history of your resume. So it's not going to go in the main section of your resume. It's going to go in the additional experience section. And if you join Work It Daily, we obviously have a resume template inside there that breaks it all down. And then what you would do is that you would just put that you were a temporary worker for this particular agency and list it as that, because you don't want to put that you were there for a week in your actual work history. It really doesn't count in that respect. And since it's a temp job, you know, you're going to put it under additional experience instead. Okay. All right. Zakaria. Hi, Zakaria. What a pretty name. I applied for an entry-level job a few weeks ago and didn't include a cover letter. Are recruiters still looking for a cover letter in these positions? It really depends. It depends on who you talk to, Zakaria. I mean, I've had recruiters tell me they don't read resumes, but then I'm going to put a little asterisk next to what I said there, because they don't read typical resumes or typical cover letters. Those cover letters that say, to whom it may concern, I'm writing to you about the XYZ position. Here's why I think I'm awesome for the job. And then they summarize their resume. Nobody reads those because they're useless. It's just redundancy of the information that's on your resume. Now, if you write something called a disruptive cover letter, that's a different story. And a disruptive cover letter, and we have a couple videos here on our YouTube channel that talk about cover letters, so definitely check those out. But a disruptive cover letter is where you reveal to the employer how you feel personally connected to what they do for work. So you have to be able to show how you feel connected in a positive way to the organization. What is it about them that resonates with you, that inspires you, that makes you want to work for a company like that? That's the story that an employer needs to hear. You know, kind of going back to one of the earlier questions about getting hired, you know, that's a way to reveal your personality in a very positive way, is telling them how you feel like you're part of their company and you get their corporate culture because you identify with it. And what taught you to identify with this? You know, maybe you've used their product or service before. Maybe their products or services have helped somebody in your family and you know what a big deal it is. These are the kinds of things that you end up including in a disruptive cover letter, and that gets their attention. And then the biggest key I'll tell you is anytime you bother to write and invest time in writing a really great story like that, your job is to get it into somebody's hand. So applying online is useless. You know, less than 3% of people, studies show this, I'm not making it up, less than 3% of people who apply online ever get called for a job interview. So if you are really passionate about a company and an opportunity at that company, you need to go the extra mile. You need to learn how to go around the online applicant system, right, around the ATS, and get it in the actual hands of people who can walk it to the recruiter or the hiring manager and actually get them to read it. And then they read this amazing story you wrote and go, wow, this is unlike any cover letter I've ever gotten before. You know, I just had this week in our executive program. We have two programs. We have a professional level program, and then we have an executive program. And the reason we separate those out, folks, is that they need a little bit different types of coaching, right, in terms of the opportunities that they're going after. But I had somebody in the executive program kind of balk at the idea of writing this disruptive type cover letter and say, you know, I'm an executive. I don't know that I really should be telling this story about how I feel connected to the company. I said, well, you know, you don't have any other ends. You don't know anybody personally at the company, yet you really want this high level job. So why not share with the CEO why you feel really connected to the organization? You've got nothing to lose. It's an introduction letter. So he decided to follow my advice, and he sent the cover letter, and he got the interview. And when he got on the interview with the CEO, they started talking about the open position, and he's 10 minutes into the meeting, and he says, you know, I don't sound like a fit for this job. I'm not a fit, am I? And the CEO said, no, you're not, you know, and but did you know that when you brought me in? And the CEO said, I did, but I was so impressed with your cover letter that I wanted to meet you and see, you know, we've got some other things in the fire. We've got some other jobs coming up. And I really wanted to meet the person that wrote such a great letter about how they felt connected to our company. Boom. This is what I'm talking about, folks. Investing some time and energy in explaining how you feel deeply connected to an organization is time well spent because you stand out. And would you rather work smarter or harder? Because I'll tell you something, blindly applying online and spending hours wasting your time is working harder, not smarter. Okay. Knowing the new rules to job search, which we teach you at Work It Daily, you come join us, that's working smarter. Okay. I hope that helped. All right. So let's see. Rod says, Naomi. Naomi says, I'm a trans woman. I'm still transitioning. How do you recommend to make changes in my LinkedIn profile so it doesn't have a negative impact on people that don't think this is another person? Wow. So first of all, Naomi, fantastic for you that you are pursuing something that's important to you. And that kind of transition is similar to a career transition. And we talk a lot about career change here. And the one thing you want to think about is that you need to signal in order to change lanes, right? So you can't just suddenly wait and boom, here it goes. You need to signal. You need to inform people, because by informing people, you're coaching them on how to act and how to respond and how to support you through this process. So I'm assuming that you're doing that, but you need to do that in your career life as well. So what I would do is I would make a couple of lists. So the first list is going to be your innermost circle of professional peers. These are people that you've built relationships with, that know you, not just on a professional level, but on a personal level. These are people that you would ask to recommend you, that you would recommend, right? These are people that know your work ethic, know about you. This first list of people, make a big comprehensive list. Those are the people that I want you to reach out to individually. And they should get a personal phone call from you, or at least a very individualized email, not a group email, but an individualized email, updating them and letting them know about this transition that's going on, and give them some details about when it's, you're hoping to be complete, and what you're going through, and not, you don't have to share too much personal detail, but other than this is occurring, this is happening, and I wanted to give you a heads up so that you knew about it. Then you're going to build a second level. Once all those folks know, and everyone, you get this great positive feedback, right? Then you're going to have a second group of people that you feel like you should notify as well, right? And again, by interacting and talking to people in that first core group that you trust, you're going to get a sense of how you want to very professionally share this with individuals, right? And it's probably going to be a sentence or two based on what you experience, which is, hey, so-and-so, I just wanted you to know that in the near future, you're going to see my profile change from this to this. Wanted to let you know what's going on. Didn't want you to be caught off guard, that sort of thing. Whatever you find is the right verbiage for you, because no two people are the same. I can't give you a canned answer for that. Then you're going to go to that second group of people, and you're going to reveal it that way. Once that's done, make your changes. When the time comes, make your changes to your LinkedIn profile, and you're good to go. Okay. But it is important to notify, because, this is a beautiful example of something we say here called brand or be branded. Have you all heard me say that? Brand or be branded. What do I mean by that? We all have a brand. You're a brand. You're a brand. I'm looking at all of you out there in the YouTube universe. You are all a brand. You are all a business of one. Every business has a brand. And what brand or be branded means is that if you don't choose to take ownership of your brand and decide how you want it to be presented to the world, people will do it for you. When you choose not to brand, you can let their imaginations run wild. Okay? They can make all the interpretations that they want. So it's on you, on all of us, to be accountable for our brands and choose how we want to present it to the world and then do things to support that. Okay? Become the brand that we want to be. You're already becoming part of the brand that you want to be, Naomi, which I think is awesome. But you've got to continue to own the message of that brand, okay? And honestly, that goes for anyone going through any type of transition. If it affects your brand, own it. Own your brand and work through the process like I just explained, okay? All right, team. Great question, by the way. Let's see. Rod Lambert, a friend of mine, attended an interview 2.5 weeks ago, which lasted 1 hour, 45 minutes for a middle management role. A follow-up email was sent, but no response. Should she forget about the job? No. Oh my gosh, 2.5 weeks ago? No. If it's a middle management job, what's likely happened is that they're interviewing other people. And then once they get through that process, they're going to bring other individuals back in. Okay. So I don't think 2.5 weeks is bad at all. For candidates, a week feels like a year, doesn't it? Like you're waiting around, you're going 2.5 weeks. It's been a lifetime. For the employer, they have all their other jobs to do. Okay. And so to them, 2.5 weeks feels like a day. I can vouch for this. We just went through a hiring process. We have a fantastic new social media manager. Go Caitlin. And that whole process took us 2 months. 2 months between going through resumes, doing phone screens, coordinating a group interview, getting the offer, having her resign from her old job and join us. Like all this stuff takes time. So you need to know that. We can't make it go any faster than it does. This is a very expensive decision for this company to make. A middle management job is no cheap job, okay? And so it takes time. The right thing to do, though, is not to get impatient and to be very careful in how you word your follow-up emails. So I've literally seen people email and go, it's been 2.5 weeks and I haven't heard from you, so I'm assuming I'm not moving forward in the process. Wow. If I get that as a recruiter, I go, well, you might have been, but you're not now. So you don't do that, folks. They are the customer. You would never do that to a customer. Instead, you wait a week after the interview and you say, just wanted to follow up and be proactive and see if there's anything else I can do to further my candidacy. Then you wait another week, you check in and say, just wanted to check in and see again if there's anything I can do to still be considered for this role. You're being polite and you wait and you're patient, okay? And really the best thing to do once you've done that is to get busy looking for other opportunities, because having a job crush is one of the worst things you can do for yourself. It kind of grinds your job search to a halt. And if it doesn't work out, you're back to square one. So my advice to your friend is to keep checking in very positively once a week, but also start looking for other opportunities. Okay. All right. Let's see. What do we have here? David says, how detailed should LinkedIn experience part of your profile be? Ooh, that's a great question. So the rule of thumb, David, is that your LinkedIn profile work history should exactly mimic your resume. So what you do when you join Work It Daily, when you come inside our program first, is that we have you do your resume first. We have an entire video tutorial that you open up our template and you listen and understand what goes where and why, and you put it in. You go all the way down, and then you send it into our career support specialists, and they look it over and they video record and say, this is good, that's what, change this, change that, and boom, all of a sudden you've got an optimized resume. And that's really important because we teach you about quantifying your accomplishments. So bullet points should only be quantified. You should have numbers around your bullet points. You should be talking about your deliverables. People tend to be way too wordy in their bullet points, and they do not get read. A good rule of thumb is each bullet point is maybe 1 line to 2 line long tops. And you're usually looking at only about 3 to 5 bullet points for 5 years worth of experience, no more than 7 bullet points total. Okay. So you're really being careful there. That then, once that's signed off on and done correctly inside our program, then we have you go and do the LinkedIn profile. And that's super easy because you're just taking the work history that we've signed off on and you're putting it into your LinkedIn profile. So for those of you that have never understood what we do, that's what we do. When you join us, you literally get to work through all these tutorials and then submit your resume and your LinkedIn profile and your cover letter and your interview prep to us for review so that we can tell you if you've got it right or not. All right. So my answer to you, David, is it should look like your resume, and your resume should have the right amount of bullet points at the right length and with the right numbers in them in order to validate you. Okay. All right. Great question. Let's see. So again, just a little, we're only 7 minutes left here. I'm going to take a couple more questions. Just a reminder, if you were liking this and you're like, gee, I wish I could get all my questions answered whenever I wanted, join Work It Daily. We're giving you a discount code for attending today. This is your chance. It's only good for today. You can only sign up with that code today. And when you do that, you'll save $10 off our program. No setup fees, cancel at any time. Instant access to all of our materials, 15 courses, 200 plus hours of videos, and you will join a private community of like-minded job seekers where you're able to work with our career support specialists via online chat, okay? So check it out because it is amazing. All right, let's see. Okay, follow-up question for Zakaria. What's a good way to find out who the hiring manager is so I can be proactive and increase my chances of getting a position with not sounding too desperate with HR? That's a great question. So there's a couple of tools out there that we've told you all about in the past. One of them is called recruitin.net, RECRUITIN, so recruitin.net. This is a site that you can go to. You can put in job titles, company names, and locations, and it'll bring you up a list of LinkedIn profiles with people that have those. How cool is that? Because if you try to do that on LinkedIn, LinkedIn has a limited number of searches, and a lot of people end up maximizing their searches on LinkedIn, and then it shuts you out from searching. But that won't happen if you use this recruitin.net platform. So that is one thing that you can use to check that out. There's a bunch of other companies out there too that you can use to try to find email addresses as well. So there's tools out there that will help you scrape for that once you identify who the person is. But I would tell you the best thing to do is see if anyone in your network knows somebody that works there already. So I always go over, look up the company, and then go look at all the people that work at the company, and you'll see it says second line connection, third line connection, first line connection. First means you're directly connected to them. Second means somebody you know knows somebody that works there. And third is you have no connections in common at all. So that second line connection is key because you can say, oh, my friend Mary Jones knows Bill Smith at that company. Now you reach out to Mary and say, Mary, do you think you could introduce me to Bill Smith? Right? And then you get Bill and you say, Bill, I'm trying to learn more about the organization. I really love it. There's a job that's open there right now. I'm trying to understand what I can do to stand out in the process. Could I trade an email with you, or could I do a brief phone call with you to learn more? Bill shares that information. And then hopefully at some point, Bill says, well, why don't I introduce you to the hiring manager? Or you say, Bill, would you be comfortable introducing me to the hiring manager? I would really just love to send my amazing cover letter along with my resume, that kind of thing. So that is the process to go through. And people go, oh, JT, that sounds like work. It is. If you want a really awesome job at your dream company, you make the effort. You know what? Applying online blindly, and I know you would never do this, Zakaria, because you're asking the right questions. But for all the rest of you out there, applying online, it's lazy job search. And lazy job search gets you lazy results, which is 0 results. You need to know how to go around the system. You need to know how to build what we call a proactive job search, where you build a bucket list of companies, you build a strategy for connecting with them, and you've got all the right tools to connect. So again, what we teach you inside Work It Daily. All right. Good luck with that. Let's see. Questions, other questions. Let's see. Trying to find them. Sorry, guys. The questions go so fast here. I can't always see them all, just so you know. Rochelle says, I had a recruiter ask me to add something to my resume that we talked about when he was interviewing me. I did it, but I'm not using that resume for anything else. Should I alter for the recruiter? You should alter it for that one recruiter. So whatever that recruiter said they need it for, you can give it to that one recruiter. Otherwise, I would leave it the same. Here's the thing about resumes that I'm so adamant about that I need to teach people. When somebody tells you your resume is missing something, don't necessarily change it right out of the gate. And the reason for that is that your resume needs to have just enough information to get them to want to call you and talk to you. So when people call you up or they email you and say, I got your resume, but I need more information, ding, 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 you should be celebrating because it means your resume is correct. It teased them enough information to get them on the hook to want to talk to you. Too much information on a resume is actually killing your chances of getting jobs. Because what happens as a recruiter is I go, wow, this thing's 3 pages long. This is everything they've ever done in their life. And, I don't see what I need here. No. Or, oh, they have that experience. No. So many times people overdo it on the resume. It looks desperate. You're trying too hard and you screen yourself out of the process. You need to simplify your resume and have only enough information to tease them to want to call you. So when they say to you, oh, Rochelle, this resume isn't right. You need all these other things on there. You just smile and go, oh, thank you. You're so wise. And I really appreciate that. And let me do that for you. And you send it to them the way they want it. Meanwhile, you keep using the resume you have because it worked. It got them to contact you. Then you can make the second round resume for whatever they need it for. Okay. Does everyone understand how that works? Really important that you understand that. That's why our resume, I'll be honest, that's why our resume tutorial and templates work so well, is because we get people to pare things down and get to the heart of who they are as a professional so that a recruiter can actually skim it, read it, and understand it and go, this person looks pretty good, but I think I need more info. Boom. Now we know we got you. Okay. Okay. Great questions today. Wow, that went really, really fast. Really, really fast. So, wrapping up for today, thank you for all the questions. I wish I could answer more, but that's how this works. It's free, 30 minutes every week on Wednesdays, so you can come back and join us. But if you want every question answered, you know what to do. Come join us at Work It Daily. Folks, I can't tell you how many people come in our program and go, why did I wait so long? What was I thinking? And I get it. Remember when we started with Netflix and nobody knew what Netflix was or how it worked? And now, people are like, how do I live without it? It's the same thing. We are the same thing. We are your career therapists. We are going to help you get what you need and get things on track, get you empowered. I read in there really quick, somebody said something about my energy level. I can't help it. I can't help it when I see the amazing things that happen when people work with us. We joke that this isn't rocket science. It's not brain surgery, or here we call it rocket surgery. It isn't. But until you have the right information and the right resources and the right people coaching you and supporting you, you can't get your mind in the right place to get this stuff done. You get in your own way. What's holding you back from success right now is yourself, is your negative self-talk, is your feeling of helplessness. All the doors are shut. You see no doors to walk through right now. Well, when you don't see any doors, you don't have any energy to get off the couch. It's that simple. When you come inside Work It Daily, we open doors. You see possibilities. We get you up off the couch. We get you walking in the right direction. Then you're suddenly running in the right direction. And then suddenly you're crossing the finish line and you're announcing to all our thousands of other members that you just got your dream job. Okay. That's how it works. So if you're interested, come. If you don't believe me, you can come back next week and the week after, and you can keep coming into these sessions. I get that a lot too. People follow them for a long time, and then they finally decide to join us and they go, what was I waiting for? So make sure you do that. And then the one last thing I love reminding people about is that in January, I always do a challenge. I always do a private class that I run in January, and I'm doing one this year. It's going to be a 28-day challenge starting in January, all around career transformation. I have been doing a ton of research this past year, really diving in deep into how to get people to reprogram their career narrative in their head and use a redefined career narrative to make smarter goals, set smarter goals, and build smarter plans for achieving their goals. And it's breakthrough stuff. I'm super excited about it. And it will be included in our membership. It's not going to cost you any extra, but you have to be a member of our program by January 1st. So anybody that is not a member by December 31st will not be able to be in this private class that I'll be teaching inside the program, just so you know. Okay, so there's going to be more coming up about that, but I'm telling you now because why not join us now and get started on your career tools so that you really can take advantage of this career transformation course I'll be teaching in January, because I'm so excited about it. It's going to be really, really powerful. Again, no extra cost, but you do have to be a member December 31st because only the people that are members in 2018, active members, will be able to be a part of it. You got to be an active member. Okay. All right. Done talking about all that good stuff. Be back with you next week. Have a great week. Good luck. And you know what we always tell you, my WID warriors, if you want to win, you've got to work it daily. Okay. So get at it. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.